right, 2025 is almost over and we're gonna close out the year with a side-by-side tonneau cover video here. So this is my second side-by-side video. If you remember the last one, I did X4TS versus the Retrax XR1. In this video, we're gonna do the Retrax XR1 versus the BAK MX4ts. Again, all of the tonneau covers that I'm using on my truck are all T-slot tonneau covers because I like that functionality for the racks that I use for my kayak, for my fishing poles. Also, love being able to add chase lights. Anyways, let's get into the review here. But like I said, Retrax XR1 is the first one we're going to talk about. And then the second tonneau cover we're going to talk about is the MX4ts, which is the new one that I'm running on my truck. And we'll run that for the next few months. We'll see how we like it. But let's get into the reviews. All right, so let's talk about the Retrax XR1 tonneau cover. This is the cover that I've been running for the last 6 months. Absolutely love how this looks, how this functions, how it operates, and the security that this tonneau cover offers. I think this is probably one of the more secure tonneau covers on the market today. So anyway, XR1, this is a polycarbonate slat with aluminum backed tonneau cover, and it is retractable, meaning that when I open up this tonneau cover and push the cover forward, it rolls up inside of a canister that's located inside the truck bed. When I close it and close the bed and secure everything off, I have the ability to lock the tonneau cover. Here's the handle here, just in case you want to see it. Opens and closes. So, polycarbonate, aluminum back tonneau cover, super durable. This guy is going to run you about $1,600 and comes with a lifetime warranty. So, a couple pros to this tonneau cover in particular. The first and foremost is flat T-slot rails, and I'll show you this on the next tonneau cover that we're looking at. But the flat rails allow you to run a bunch more accessories when it comes into racks, crossbars, or anything like that. Whereas the other T-slot rails, you're really kind of relegated to just running the Elevate system, which is okay if that's what you have. But if you're looking to use some other manufacturers, the flatter T-slot rails actually open up a few more options for you. So that's nice to have. The second thing, and one of the things that I really wish every tonneau cover had, or at least hard tonneau covers had, is the external latch. And I like that because when I back my truck up, it's against the wall. And it's kind of a pain in the butt to open up tonneau covers when I don't have this external latch. When this truck's in the garage and I need to get something out of the truck bed, all I do is open that up and just slide it forward and I can reach into the truck bed and grab what I need. So I absolutely love that. Also love that I can lock it too. So it's extra secure. But again, operationally speaking, this thing is awesome. As far as cons of this tonneau cover, one of the biggest cons is what's inside the bed, and I'll show you that in a second. So let's hop up in here and let's open up the tonneau cover itself. Like I said, super easy to operate. There we go. We'll lock that into place. This is the first con. So I knew this getting into it, but even when the tonneau cover is closed, you always have this canister sitting in the truck bed, taking up a lot of valuable real estate inside your storage areas. So if you're like me and storage is a premium in your truck bed, then maybe the Retrax or any sort of retractable style bed cover is probably not for you. So again, this is one of the biggest cons here. Again, not a surprise, I knew that going in, but now that I'm running swing cases, it's becoming more evident that I really do use a ton of my bed space, particularly during hockey games and whatnot. So I want that back. The second con here is when you install this truck bed cover, it does block the box links. Also, it really makes getting access to that front tie down somewhat difficult. So again, if you need to get to those tie downs, or if you use those quite a bit, or if you need this sort of real estate in your truck bed, retractable tonneau covers, particularly the Retrax line, probably not the best tonneau cover for you. But external latch, externally locking, ability to open this up without having to open up the tailgate really are the real true benefits of this guy. Plus it's also super durable, and we have the flat T-slot rails, which are super nice as well. But anyway, let's get this guy off. Let's install the new tonneau cover, and then we'll talk through the differences between the Retrax and the MX4ts, which is sitting down in that box right there. All right, one last comment before we get into the MX4ts comparison is the Retrax XR1 is actually the little brother to the Retrax Pro and then the Retrax EQ. The Retrax Pro, the difference there is instead of polycarbonate slats here, it's gonna have full aluminum slats. So added durability if you need that. The Retrax EQ is actually a fully electric tonneau cover. I would love to try that one out because it looks super cool. It looks like it ties in your vehicle nicely. It really does look sick. It also comes with the flat T-slot rails. But those two tonneau covers are obviously going to come at a premium compared to the Retrax XR1. So this guy is about $1,600. The Retrax Pro's $2,200. So again, difference there being the aluminum slats. And then the Retrax EQ is a whopping $2,800. So it's an expensive tonneau cover. So if you're gonna install one tonneau cover for the life of the vehicle, maybe the EQ is the way to go. If you don't really wanna mess around with having to use the handle to manually control it, EQ might be for you. But again, those two come at a premium. For 1,600 bucks is really hard to beat the Retrax XR1. Let's talk about the BAK MX4ts. So here you go, that's the BAK tonneau cover. This is the one that I just put on, replaced the Retrax with this guy. We'll run this for a few months. But anyway, this tonneau cover is a polymer reinforced aluminum panel trifold cover. So it's a hard cover that is the trifold. So you got 3 panels here. If you want to have access to the full bed, you basically just unlatch it, fold it up, unlatch it, fold it up, unlatch it, push it up against cab, and then get those little kickstands. I have an install video that I released just before this. I'll leave that down in the description below. But it's a hard folding tonneau cover, so this comes to the tune of about $1,200, which from all the tonneau covers that I've had on the channel so far, this is probably one of the most cost competitive ones from a security standpoint as well. So it's a hard tonneau cover, and it's probably the cheapest one of the 3 tonneau covers that I've had so far. But that $1,200 gets you a 5-year warranty. So unlike the Retrax, which says a lifetime, the BAK comes with a 5-year. I don't think you're gonna need anything beyond that because these things really don't fall apart. There's not a lot of moving parts. On something like the Retrax, you're really gonna want that lifetime warranty just as kind of a safety net. But really, there's not a lot that can fail on these tonneau covers, and even if they do, the replacement parts are relatively cheap. Anyway, 5-year warranty, 1,200 bucks, BAK MX4ts, awesome tonneau cover. So let's talk about the pros and cons. First pro here is this tonneau cover looks amazing. Now I've had several BAK tonneau covers in the past, and I will say they've gone through a few different renditions of the finish on these things. This is by far my favorite look. It looks tough. It's a nice finish. It looks really classy. It kind of blends well with the rest of the truck, but also gives you a sense of durability here. So the tonneau cover itself looks great, and it's also super low profile. It doesn't really pop up on the sides outside of the T-slot rails here. Second pro of this tonneau cover. So because this is a trifold, you don't have a ton of seals all through the top of the surface. So your risk of having water infiltrate those seals and get into the bed is much less than something like the Retrax. The Retrax has all those little tiny slats, and obviously all of those could be a little temporary or a little failure point. With the trifold, you have 1, 2, 3 seals, and then you got the sides, and it's really nothing. So I will say of all the tonneau covers, this one's probably gonna give you the most water resistance of the batch that I've looked at. As far as the last 2 benefits, we need to hop up in the truck bed, and I'll show you those in a minute. All right, so let's hop up in the truck bed, and I'll show you the big pro to this tonneau cover versus the Retrax. And if you've been following my channel, you've been following me on Instagram, you probably already know where I'm going with this one. Let's get this guy up, leaned up against the cab. So, biggest benefit of running something like the MX4ts is this. So, with a hard trifold tonneau cover, you get all of the bed volume that your truck has. Unlike the Retrax, where you have that canister sitting up front and it eats up some valuable space. Like I said, now that I'm running the swing cases here, volume in my truck bed is at a premium, and I want to make sure that I can retain as much of it as possible. So it didn't make sense to have the canister for the Retrax because it really did eat up a lot of volume. Even if the tonneau cover isn't closed, it's still there and it's still cutting into your volume. So this is the big pro of the MX4 is I get all that bed volume back. The last thing I'm going to point out here as far as pros is the tonneau cover is super easy to remove. So hopefully we can get in here and you can see the little latches here. I just got to loosen this up, slide the latch that way, do it on both sides, and I can remove the whole tonneau cover and pop it off. So if I wanted to run my flated topper, that's all I need to do. I could leave the rails on. So it's very easy to remove. The Retrax, once that bad boy's on, it's on unless you want to mechanically remove it, which you can, but this will take me all of about 5 minutes to remove. Retrax, probably 20 minutes to get off the truck, and we got to take the rails and everything off. So huge pros for the MX4. Easy to remove, really water resistant, looks great, and gives you all the bed volume you can get with your truck bed. So anyway, let's talk about the 2 cons. We got to hop out of here, and I'll show you what those are here in a second. Okay, so being fully transparent, it's hard to find something to hate about the MX4ts. It really is the best all-around tonneau cover. However, the one thing that I miss from the Retrax, and again, this is a Retrax versus BAK MX4 comparison, the one thing that I miss from the Retrax is that external latch. I wish that the trifold from BAK had an external latch instead of these little cable guys inside. Why? Because when you back your truck up into a garage, and a lot of our garages barely fit some of these trucks, you have to have the tailgate down in order to open up the back. So if my kids need to get something out of the back of the truck, I have to go out, open up the tonneau cover real quick, pull it up before the tonneau cover hits the wall and then starts to close again. With the Retrax, all I had to do is pop the latch and push it open. Awesome. But anyway, that's my biggest gripe so far with the MX4. The second thing that I will say that some people might find limiting is the T-slot design. So the X4TS as well as the MX4TS have the same exact T-slots on the side. So that's extruded aluminum here. And it's, instead of the Retrax, which had the smooth T-slot, this has basically like a little channel piece. So it's about 1 inch wide, and it fits your 3/4 inch T-slot little adapters in there that look like that. Or you could use the T-slot bolts that come in the Elevate kit, which is what I use for my chase lights. But anyway, some folks might find accessories that work with T-slots, but don't necessarily work with this specific type of T-slot. The T-slot accessories that RealTruck does not sell are typically made for the flat T-slot rails like you'd find on the Retrax or some other tonneau covers. So that may or may not be a limiting factor for some folks. Just want to make sure I call that out. For me, it is not. However, like I said, it was hard to find things to hate about this one, so I had to add something to the list. So these are the little foot things for my Rhino Rack Vortex rack for my fishing rods, and these will fit on there pretty easily. It's a flat bottom, just like the Elevate rack, but it just pops right up on top. You just thread those guys in here. You take a little Allen head, move the end, and slide on there. So one of the gripes that people will say is, again, that some T-slot accessories do not work with this type or this style T-slot rail. You need to have a flat style, which means something like the Retrax. But anyway, again, I cannot repeat this enough. It was hard to find stuff that I did not like about the MX4TS. So it checks every box for me. Tonneau covers are very much a use case part where some people need the tonneau cover to do something different than what others do. So it's not a one size fits all, but I will say, by all accounts, the MX4 does check the box for 90% of the things that we need tonneau covers for: security, waterproof, and you know, just a cover that looks great. But anyway, let's close this one out. All right, so that was a bit of a lightning round between the Retrax XR1 and the BAK MX4TS, but they're two really good tonneau covers. And like I said, with tonneau covers, it really comes down to your use case. What do you need the tonneau cover to do? And then find the tonneau cover that fits those purposes, or at least 90% of those purposes. The MX4TS is awesome. I also went through the X4TS, the Retrax XR1, and obviously the back one that we have today. So anyways, with that said, I left links down to these two tonneau covers down in the description below. By all means, use those links. Those are my affiliate links. They certainly help me keep videos like this coming. But if you have suggestions on other side-by-side videos I should be doing in the future, let me know. I absolutely like doing these things. I might not be the best at doing it, but hey, it's a lot of fun, and that's why I started the YouTube channel. But like I said, last video 2025. So enjoy this video, enjoy the content. We got some big things hopefully coming in the next year. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season here. Spend time with your family, get off YouTube, go out, be a part of the family, because we never know when our day comes. But with that said, thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye.